Hi, and welcome back to Garden Ninja. Now, quite a few of you online have been asking me to start to do garden tours of my own garden here at Garden Ninja HQ. Now, we're in October and I thought it'd be a perfect time to give you a walk around and show you what's happening here in the Exploding Atom Garden during the autumn months. Now, I absolutely love autumn, and what you'll find is a whole host of trees and plants in your garden take on a transformation as they either drop the leaves or get ready for winter. So I'm going to walk you around and show you some of my top picks today and some of the things I've been up to in October to give you some inspiration for your own gardens. So come on, let's get cracking. What's really exciting this month is that the turf I laid last month has started to mesh together, and this allows the Exploding Atom Garden to seamlessly move in to the area in front of the house. If you've watched this series on YouTube about the Exploding Atom Garden, you'll know that in the past there was a really old and gnarly hawthorn hedge there and a really rocky path. So what I did was I removed the hedge once the birds had finished nesting, I removed the path, and then I've laid this turf last month. So the whole garden blends into one, and it really pulls you from out of the house and into the Exploding Atom Garden. And that's a key design tip. If you're going to be designing gardens, make sure that you're making the most of the views and the vistas both to the house, to any outbuildings, or any particular focal points that you want to use. And in this case, I want the focal point from the house, if I walk backwards, to be all the way, where are we going? Into the centre of the Exploding Atom Garden. So that's the whole point. You leave the front door and then you're pulled out throughout the garden. Now, another reason why I love autumn is the changing of the trees' leaves. Now, this example behind me is a beautiful multi-stem Medlar tree, which is a really ancient fruit tree, and you don't see them very often. So when I found it this year, I thought, I've got to have one, I need to treat myself, I need a Medlar tree. So I've put this at the very base of the Exploding Atom Garden, near some of the other trees, so it kind of blends in. If you look closely, you'll see these fruits. Now, they're probably one of the latest fruit trees available, in that it takes until about December before these medlars can be picked, and then they've got to be bletted, which means that you bring them inside and you leave them to partially break down before you eat them. Now, that all sounds very gross and a bit grotesque, but I'm assured that the taste is very delectable and quite unusual, so I'm going to give those a go this year, and worst case I can always make a chutney or a medlar cheese out of the fruits. So October is also prime bulb planting time here in the UK, and I've been planting bulbs in my lawn, and that's usually known as naturalised planting, where you're planting bulbs in a lawn or a flower bed to make it look as if they've been there forever. Now, we've got this row of trees here that joins in with the Exploding Atom Garden, but they look a bit regimented. So what I've done, and you can't see it because I've been quite discreet, is down here with a spade I've dug in sort of slants throughout the turf and soil and planted some bulbs. In particular, I've used Narcissi, which is the daffodil family, and I've also put in some snowdrops. And what that will do is it will extend the season. So in January the snowdrops will come up, providing those little white pops of colour, and then moving forward to March and April when all the daffs will be up in a riot of yellow. And the whole idea is that by extending the season of interest, in those glib winter months, you've still got a bit of colour and excitement out in the garden, which will hopefully bring people out to go and have a look. Now, if you've only got a small garden, naturalising bulbs in your lawn is a really good way of maximising space. And I've done it in plenty of small garden designs, and it's really easy. If you get a spade and you jab it into the grass at an angle, you can dig down to around 10 centimetres and then pop your bulbs in, pull back the turf, and then next spring they'll pop up, bringing you loads of colour. So even if you've got a tiny garden, if you've got some turf, you can naturalise bulbs. It's so easy. So have a look at this behind me. This is the Naturalised Planting, also known as the burning bush. For most of the year it's pretty subdued and it has a green leaf. However, when we come into autumn, the leaves turn this fiery crimson colour and they're just shouting out for attention. So when we're inside, you look out and you see both of these that flank the path, and they're like massive flaming full stops going, come on, come and have a look. I'm going to let you into a little secret. From a distance, this garden looks really nice at this time of year, and there's pops of colour because I've planned succession planting, where you take plants that are going to flower at different times throughout the year. But if we get closer, and this is the secret, you will notice that it's actually pretty much covered in weeds and all looking a bit sorry for itself. Now don't panic, this time of year is the time of year when I prefer to just let things be for a while. You'll have probably spent most of spring and summer, like I have, either deadheading, planting, digging, doing things in the garden. And I always think that by the time you get to autumn, just sit back, have a bit of relax, take a chill pill, because whilst it's nice to keep everything pristine, sometimes it's best to just sit back and let nature do its thing. So one area of the garden that I'm mightily impressed with this year is the red hot central core of the Exploding Atom Garden, and that's this bed here that you can see behind me. Now I'm really impressed for two reasons. The first is that I've grown 95% of these plants from seed myself. And the second reason is I've done it all without plastic as part of my Gardening Without Plastic challenge this year, which shows you that if you want to be environmentally friendly and sound, you can do it. All been grown from seed. I've not had to use expensive tools or weird and wonderful composts. I've done it all in a greenhouse, and you could do that too. Now in the central core I'm also using succession planting. So in each of the different beds we've got flowers that come up from early spring, and even some specimens that will take you all the way through to December. Now the majority of these flowers in the central bed are late summer flowers, things like heleniums, rudbeckia, and we've got loads of grasses as well, so they will add texture to the border. What that means is the other borders around the outskirts here are tending to die back in the autumn because they're early spring and summer flowers. These will blast up and give you that summer colour. By extending the interest, not only do you want to go out into your garden more frequently, but you're giving wildlife and the environment a much better chance of survival through the winter by providing all these pollen-rich plants, seeds and things for birds and insects to eat. So it really is win-win. You get a garden 365 days of the year, and so does Mother Nature. And if you want another tip, don't be too quick to clean up some of your herbaceous perennials and plants as they've died back. If you look at this behind me, this is an Achillea. We've then got an Echinacea. Both of them are pretty much dead now from the stem up because they've had their time. But if you look, you've got these beautiful seed heads, and I will leave them throughout winter because I quite like the structure of them. You can take them back to the ground now, but if you do, then you're going to have a void where they once were. So I tend to leave these until late winter. So that brings us to the end of the first garden tour. There's going to be plenty of stuff happening over winter and things that need to happen around the garden. So I'll be reporting back once a month, giving you an update on this, the Exploding Atom Garden. If you've got questions, garden dramas or problems that you want help with, why not ask me, the Garden Ninja, to help you? You can add a comment below, you can find me on social media, and every question gets a reply. If you've liked this video, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel where there are loads more garden design, hints, tips and hacks to help you make your garden awesome. I'm off inside to get a brew. I've been Garden Ninja. Happy gardening.